We'll be in Washington next week for State of the Union. We'll get to the Chinese part of it a little later in the show. But President Biden's going to address a divided country. Only 23% say they are broadly satisfied with the way things are going. Be interesting to see who those 23% are. The rest are dissatisfied. Half of America is very dissatisfied. President Biden faces a real challenge because the cultural pendulum appears to be swinging back to the center, and yet he continues moving far to the left. Consider what's happened just this week from Axios. American CEOs have gone silent on national tragedies. Companies that were once very vocal on human rights and societal issues have held statements close to the vest or stayed completely silent following the recent streak of tragedies in America. Probably most particularly, they're referring to Memphis. The Washington Post taking on drag shows, Latinx, and more. Arkansas moves from rhetoric to action. Rolling Stone, DeSantis moves to ban CRT from Florida's public colleges. From our partners at The Hill, Republicans introduced second impeachment article for Mayorkas. That's about the border. This, though, caught our eye, and perhaps the most important point. In deep blue Connecticut, Hispanic lawmakers want to ban the term Latinx or Latinx because they find it offensive. That's Democrats moving back to the center. Max Burns is here, founder of Third Degree Strategies, former Democratic staffer on The Hill. Look, sometimes you got to be like the French Revolutionary and watch to figure out where your people are going before you can lead them. America is no longer moving to the left like it was in 2020.
No, I think you're absolutely right in that President Biden next week is going to face a very divided nation, and a nation that in many cases, even internally, is not sure which direction we're going or what's really happening. And one of the great disappointments, I'm sure, for Joe Biden is that he's leading an economy that is largely starting to recover. Inflation is down 7 months in a row. Employment has never been higher. But that just doesn't seem to be bolstering his approval. People don't seem to be feeling that optimism. And that's really going to be, I think, what he tries to tackle next week.
Yeah, you think about this, though, the most important poll question you ever ask, and you know this from looking at candidates, right, is cares about people like me. And that's what the president has to do. He has to show that. And at the same time, we look at where the culture is going, where the country is going culturally, which is away from sort of the super progressive, super woke issues. Does he risk just being out of touch? And people, even Democrats, feeling he doesn't really care about people like me. He cares about only the far left.
Well, you're right on the point that when it comes to the choice between how people feel about the country and the actual hard data about where the country is, the perception, the feeling is going to win every time. So you have to go out and talk to people where they are. And that's a key part of being an effective leader. I think Joe Biden can take solace in the fact that, according to this Gallup poll just recently, Americans are largely supportive of the LGBT community and of what has been done to try and shore up their position and protect them. They are generally very supportive of Social Security and Medicare, which he can then make a very strong case that Republicans are about to try and cut. But other than that, I mean, he's going to be playing a lot of defense that it's kind of surprising he's playing 2 years in.
Yeah, I think about who his sort of potential challengers are going to be if we assume he's going to run and we assume others are. At the top of the list would be Ron DeSantis. Take a listen.
When you're trying to impose a woke ideology on our state, we view that as a significant threat.
Florida is where woke goes to die, is Ron DeSantis' famous line, and he says it over and over and over again. He won Florida by 20 points. He won Miami-Dade County for the first time in almost 2 decades, a heavily Hispanic county. Again, where do Democrats have to go to either find their support on these far left issues? I'm thinking about the border. I'm thinking about continuing on trans rights and trans education inside schools. These are things that are not really that popular. Reparations is not popular, yet it's something that the far left continues to push.
Well, you can tell we're gearing up for a presidential election cycle because CRT is back as the great socialist liberal enemy facing America. And I think it's easy on a level for Ron DeSantis to do this in Florida, where he has, large control over the state legislature. He is very popular. But we see in that Gallup poll that a lot of these big issues are much more evenly split.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.